What is up, HVAC Control Pro? Imagine, if you would, knowing what you know today, if you could go back in time and hear Bill Gates and Steve Jobs talk about the future of the internet and personal computing. What would you have done? How would you have acted differently? How would your business be different? Well, if you're like most of us, you wouldn't have done anything. You would have done business as usual because you were too busy and it was too far-fetched. I know that's the case with me. Boy, I wish it was different. But in this video, you're going to see what I think could be a Steve Jobs, Bill Gates prophetic type prediction as the president of Acuity Brands speaks at Cochrane Controls. He kind of lays the future out of the automated building, including everything from indoor location services, and he paints a picture of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. He calls it good enough, and most of us have heard that in our business before. Hey, what we got is good enough, to just enough, which is give me the best technology, but just enough of it to the future, or future-proofing the business. Hey, I apologize in advance for the camera kind of shaking. It was great stuff at ControlsCon. I think you'll enjoy this. Please let me know in comments what you think. I think this guy is right on it, and I'd be interested to know how you, as an HVAC controls and smart building controls professional, kind of view this and what do you see for the future. So if you think this guy is right on in comments, just type right on. If you think he's in left field, type in left field. Be interested to know what you think. Hey, if you get a second, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Check us out at controltrends.com. We have a lot of videos. We're getting ready to post a lot of videos from ControlsCon. So congratulations to Scott Cochrane from Cochrane Supply on a great ControlsCon, and we'll see you on the flip side of the video.
How many sensors do you put in a room? So all of that traveling, the cost equation, so for all of the components of those technologies, that is what is changing really fast. Bluetooth, low energy, if you pick this, edge computing, we talked about microservices. This is what's happening today, which is happening faster than any of us can really keep up with. And therefore, it has created an ecosystem of companies, startups, as well as bigger corporations that are really trying to garner all of this and take advantage. So for us, we try to bring it to a simple value prop and say, okay, if we're going to go chase something, what is the #1 value? And it really is around these indoor location services. And you can read what Gartner has published when they were kind enough to put us in their magic quadrant and say, okay, Acuity Brands, we believe, is really thinking that through. But the basis for the assessment was indoor location services is going to be something of the future. We're not going to be able to avoid it. We could say that's too complicated. We're going to have to make it happen. So how do we go about capturing this opportunity? Our view is to try to keep it simple. So some of us in the room have been probably burned. I've lost my hair really early in my life doing some integration of systems and then doing different things. The keeping it simple is really accomplished by having a clear journey of the different phases, the different steps you're going to take in that journey. One, what I call the good enough today. And we need to accept that there's still going to be a big chunk of the market that's going to be happy with the good enough. Basically, basic controls. You understand now I have brought into the conversation lighting as a principal hardware component today in any building, and therefore I'm of course bringing LED. You're going to have the just enough, and that just enough right now is being defined. And it's being defined because we are now, for the first time, starting to see deployment at scale, which means that it's no longer something that's possible, it's actually something that is available at scale. On the technology side, on the access side, that means you have large deployment, but also you can make money doing this, and that's not easy for everybody. So it's connected LED, it's a unified building and lighting infrastructure and controls, and it's the smart visualization. And I know there is plenty, I mean, with Tridium and others, we believe that visualization is going to continue to have a great value. But then what's next? And what do we need to really pressure test? If you look at the choices, everybody here in this room, whether it's myself in my job where I pick a technology versus another, whether it's you guys, signing up a contract with one of your clients, you make choices every day, technology choices and how you do. I'm always trying to think as to what's going to be future-proof. Future-proof for me is I have no regret of the choice I've made. I'm not going to use an excuse later on, and it's no nonsense. It is really making sense. And so this is where I'm putting this as a journey for the industry. My mission inside of the Acuity Brands group is actually not only to make sure that we bring the best technologies available, and I'll tell you why this tech was acquired and why it is at the core of the architecture. It's the best IP controllers you can find. It has many different components, but it is now centered as a technology brick for that whole integration. So great, we have that product, it is known, people can look at it, you can actually hack it, you can try to do so many things with it, the technology is there. That technology means very little if we cannot deploy it in a frictionless environment. And my simple equation in front of you is that if we together do not find a way to take 30% of the time it takes us to implement the technology, from the time you design it, from the time you validate it, you quote it, you finally get it installed, commission, and so on, we got to take 30%. We have two reasons for having to do this. We don't have enough people. I don't know about you guys, but the labor market is quite tight for all of the technology guys, and it is even more tighter from what I understand if you need some technicians. So if we don't take that 30%, we're going to be always slowed down because we don't have enough people to respond. So there is that imperative. The second piece is because it is still taking too long, and the time it takes, it's probably because the technology is still having too much friction. Decision makers are going to say, you know what, my good enough is good enough. And I'm not going to really chance it with your just enough, going to future-proof, etc. I'm going to stick with this. And therefore, as an industry, we're missing out on the great opportunity to double the size of what we do in dollar terms. So that's why I'm talking about this. The rest is what we all know, advanced controls and IoT capabilities, firmware grade, the world where self-serving is becoming the rule. I think, again, if you project ourselves to our children as what they do, no, you don't want to have a facility manager to go to. You want immediately the actions to be taken based on the input that you're giving. So it's always offering what I call a self-serve model where you can do it on your own. Autonomy of actions instead of, okay, I'm going to have to call somebody. So we have to think our systems in this way. The building health, if we truly deliver on the promise that we're going to know what's happening in the building, and we're going to sensorize really massively the building, we're going to have an imperative to measure the health of what's happening in the building. And that health can be very simple things, knowing what's happening to a critical component or what's happening for the people inside of that building.
All right, guys, so what do you think about it, man? He's calling for a 30% reduction in the time a product is thought up in somebody's head to the time it actually gets installed. He's talking about the opportunity for our business to double. What do you think? Sounds pretty promising to me. I was enthralled. I was captivated. I'm thinking a lot about it. Hopefully you will too. Hey, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.